Out of Alaska, President Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin. There we have live pictures right now as you see Air Force One on the left side of your screen. To the right, that is believed to be the presidential plane out from Russia with the president there, Vladimir Putin, inside. We're awaiting both leaders to come down the stairs there and onto the tarmac for what will be an historic summit here in Anchorage, Alaska. They are expected to meet and discuss that potential ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. The president warning that there will be serious consequences if no serious step is taken forward towards that ceasefire. Still unclear if anything will be announced as to action. We are also expecting some sort of joint press conference to happen in about 30 minutes after they meet. Of course, we'll keep you posted, but we've been watching these pictures as we see now the President of the United States, Donald Trump, descend from Air Force One. We've been watching this for some time as they've arrived in the last hour here, and it seems as though the U.S. president may start taking those steps before we see Russian President Vladimir Putin. But there's also some action there on that Russian plane. We'll stay with this shot here as we await both leaders to come down and meet and eventually, I assume, shake hands and start their talks. Let's bring in senior fellow at National Security Institute, Andrew Boring, with more. Andrew, we're going to keep up these pictures. I apologize because I don't want to miss what could be an historic meeting here as we see Russian President Vladimir Putin also continue to descend there and walk over to this red carpet. I may interrupt you here if there's anything to listen and to hear as they shake hands. But Andrew, what do you make of what's to come in the next couple minutes here?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is not maybe a historic event. This is a historic event. There's no question. It's been 6 years since President Trump and Vladimir Putin have met face to face. Recent announcement from the White House was that it will likely include Marco Rubio and Mr. Witkoff. And there is just no question that this is a very, very important event. Having spent time in Ukraine in the last couple of years, I know that the Ukrainian people would like to see an end to the war. It's critical to them that they maintain their sovereignty and their freedom. And that said, it's a delicate conversation. Vladimir Putin's going to bring a couple of, I believe it has not yet been announced, but likely aides that I assess would be Yuri Ushakov, who used to be the ambassador to the United States, and also Sergei Lavrov, who's been a vocal participant in all things Russian foreign policy for the last 5 or 10 years. So there's really, it could be a mix. Perhaps they put a business leader. They're also bringing the defense minister. And so I think that there's no question, this is a historic meeting. And it's the first in what the White House is saying. It's a start to dialogue. Andrew, yesterday, go ahead.
I think he's starting to approach the U.S. president, so we're just going to let this second happen. We're listening to some of the natural sound there. Unclear if we'll hear any remarks from them as they await. But that's that first handshake that you just said is historic. 6 years in the making here. And you see Vladimir Putin there next to the commander-in-chief saluting those on the ground there. Andrew, a lot has been made about Putin's health throughout all this. It seems as though at times the president has been extremely disappointed with someone that he thought he could, unlike previous presidents, have his ear, if you will. He thought it seemed as though that President Putin would listen to Trump, and Trump seemed very disappointed that that was not the case and would continue to send offensives into Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to comment that, the Ukrainian people and here in the UK, Prime Minister Starmer just met with President Zelensky yesterday. And I live here in London. And there are many people across Western Europe who fly Ukrainian flags on government buildings here in the UK. You see them. So you heard optimism from Prime Minister Starmer. You heard optimism from President Zelensky. I think that there will be photographs from this that will be in history textbooks for the remainder of our lives.
We're listening to the press there ask questions. I imagine they probably won't take any until after the meeting. The beast is there lying as they get in together, it seems as though, to this summit. Are you surprised by the friendliness of this meeting?
No, and I would anticipate that, much of the world, the Western world, call it the EU, call it NATO partners, call it a broader partnership. There's a Partnership for Peace Consortium that includes some other former Soviet states, and all of those who've been involved in a very costly war since the Russian invasion would like to see a path to peace. And so, it's a high stakes conversation, and it is always better if people are calm and friendly for a high stakes conversation.
I think you're right. I think some people have disagreed with potentially, at least in the previous administration, the first administration, I should say, of Donald Trump, at what they thought was too much of a friendly relationship between the two. We heard from Emmanuel Macron as well recently, also sounding very positive about what was to come. But a little different of a tone from President Trump in his first days in office, saying, I will end this war. And yet here we are almost on the brink of September. And yet the war continues, and it continues violently. Is there a sense that he can really work this out? Because just days ago, he was saying, I'm not here to negotiate. I'm just here to talk.
So, let's be clear. This is two individual human beings having a conversation. It's a really important conversation. And millions of people whose lives have been impacted by decisions that Vladimir Putin made are hanging in the balance of this conversation. Mm-hmm. So again, I think it's very important that probably the most important constituency is the Ukrainian people. What do they want? What do they need? What's their vote?
Should Zelensky have been at this summit?
So look, it's a start to a conversation. And I think the comments of Prime Minister Starmer here in London are America's greatest, strongest ally. And Vladimir Zelensky demonstrated that the leaders of those countries also would like to see a path to peace. And I think it's going to be a series of very complex conversations. And so, it's hard for me to say and criticize when you see President Zelensky himself saying it's good that talks have begun. And I would think it would be very difficult to see a path to immediate peace. Mm-hmm. But the start of the dialogue is critical. And President Trump made it very clear that he is hoping that another round of meetings would include President Zelensky.
Before we go, Andrew, do you think it would be right for the President of the United States to negotiate territories between these two countries?
So, as I said, future meetings will include President Zelensky. President Zelensky is one other actor. But again, the United Kingdom has invested immense resources from its defense industrial base to its targeting to actual warheads. All of the European partners are investing, again, in the success of Ukraine maintaining its sovereignty. So this is going to end up a multilateral solution. Mm-hmm. But if President Trump can begin that and start a beginning of conversation, I don't think there will be any solution to Ukraine that does not include the Ukrainian vote. Mm-hmm. And the Europeans have made that very clear.
Yeah.